Good evening, ladies, gentlefers, and my lovely NBs. We are here live in Winnipeg at Riverside Arena, where we're going to see the current champions, the Voyagers, go up against the brand new Edmonton Excavators. My name is Marcus Baylor, and to my right is Ryan Eastman. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. We have a wonderful matchup. The two Canadian teams matching up against each other. And honestly, this game, this late in the season, can't have bigger playoff implications despite both teams having made it already.
100%. Both teams, as you said, are in the playoffs right now, but it's all about trying to figure out the playoff seedings. And currently, when it comes to that, both teams are only just a game apart from each other when it comes to that. So it's really going to be a huge game, huge playoff atmosphere here in Winnipeg.
Well, and it's not just they're turning their seed. Obviously, no one wants to be the eighth seed going up against the number one seed. But we have a bit of a quirk here as the how close the divisions and conference has been has resulted in the Oregon Swashbucklers. They could end up anywhere in terms of their ranking, but they are in. And because they've won the division, they will be at minimum the fourth seed. And they may have teams that have better records get ranked lower than them.
Yeah, so does it really matter about who they're going up against with whatever these teams are going to be, whether it's Edmonton, whether it's Winnipeg, I believe whether it's Arizona. A lot of these teams could end up being favored in that stipulation, even though they don't have home field advantage at this point. So a lot of the teams that aren't going to win their division are probably going to look at their chops when it comes to Oregon. That's what makes this specific matchup very important between these two teams.
Yes, and obviously we have the team that won it all last year playing at home here tonight. Uh, Very similar roster that made it all the way last year. Big difference being the loss of Kokinos, but they brought in two quite big furs to replace him, Daniel Kuvionic and Todd Hu, uh, two 8-footers who really add height to this Winnipeg uh, center depth.
Whew, that is like the understatement of this century,
Yeah.
considering the fact that like DQ, former defensive player of the year from last year, decided to go into a championship caliber team here in Winnipeg. I can't blame the big guy. I love him to death, and it makes total sense for him to do this as well. But meanwhile, for Edmonton, we've seen like a lot of major shakeups for this team. Brand new look, brand new name, and some brand new faces as well as we get to see uh, Ed, Edmonton bringing in Eric Toivonen, um, Xavier Clark, and Nori Wada have really kind of shined so far in the starting lineup.
Yeah, I mean, you compare the two teams. Winnipeg definitely has a lot more of a veteran presence, and you have to wonder how long they can stay there, trying to cling on and build a dynasty here, kind of the tail end of some of their players' careers. Whereas you look at Edmonton, and they re-signed Zachary Cooper, their two lottery pick rookies last year, Nura Wada and Xavier Clark, looking better this year. And like I said, they brought in some talent in the offseason, Eric Toivonen, Duncan Kuki. It's not been necessarily a massive improvement to the roster, but as they are in the hunt for the playoffs here, or actually, sorry, in the playoffs already, there has been a turnaround compared to last year as they've slowly gotten better year to year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's going to be a lot of decisions to be made for Edmonton, but they are in. They are finally in the dance after what seems like what 2 or 3 years now. So it's going to be an exciting time no matter what if you're an Edmonton fan.
That you are. Any final thoughts before we kick it down to the court?
I'm just very excited to see how this playoff atmosphere, especially here in Winnipeg, as they're ready to see these guys go ahead and just bring it 110%. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Voyagers is able to stand pat and continue bolstering their lead to get that date with Oregon, or if Edmonton's able to go ahead and come in and surprise everybody.
And I see the players on the court now.
That we do, as we do see Edmonton in the red, while Winnipeg is rocking the striped white as we get things started. And Winnipeg does end up winning the tip-off, so we will see how the Voyagers handle it in the early going.
And if you're a Voyagers fan, you have to think in maybe a month you might be back here again in a final series. You know, the fans definitely helped out big in that series against Albany last year. As we see a good block from Toivonen.
Yeah, excellent block there from Toivonen for that possession. So Edmonton could possibly get the chance to strike first, as we get a possibility of a quick jumper, but instead hands it up to Clark. Clark waiting to find something going on as Buckley goes for three, and it is good. So Buckley will be the one to strike first for the Excavators, as we go ahead and see if Winnipeg can respond with Carboneau with the rock.
Yeah, Baxter Buckley, a bit of an underrated player in terms of the team when he's kind of been overshadowed by the other Beaver on the roster, but able to contribute quite consistently, and that's been a big help for the Excavators in the season.
Yeah, Baltov trying to see if they can get a three right back to tie things up, but it's not going to be good there. So now Buckley has a chance to get into the paint, drives in, and really goes down on Carboneau as Edmonton's already up 5-0. Really good start for the Excavators.
Yeah, getting it done from outside and now inside. And if they can do that to the rest of the night, I feel like Winnipeg's going to have some issues. Now, obviously, DQ down the post is going to be the big factor here. As Baltave does get a three on his second attempt.
Yeah, Eric Baltave getting that first three and getting Winnipeg finally up on the board to cut that deficit down to 2. And we'll see how Edmonton try to continue on this offensive game as Toivonen hands it up to Cooper. Cooper going over, go for the quick layup, but gets fouled on the way up by Malka. So the Beaver is going to go on the line for 2.
And Baltave, we talked a lot about him during the playoffs last year. A second-year player with a lot of pressure on him, and ended up not buckling under that pressure, earned himself a nice little contract, staying with Winnipeg for another 3 years.
Yep, and Cooper not able to get the second one down, so they are going to be up by 3, but that's going to change real quick with Carboneau coming down and slamming it home.
I mean, the Arctic Fox is a former dunk contest champion, so you can't give him an open lane to the basket like that.
Yeah, and Cooper answering right back. So Cooper scoring, I believe, 6 of the 8 points so far for Edmonton.
It's actually been all Beavers.
Yeah.
Baxter got the first 5, and now Buckley's got Cooper's got the next 3.
Yeah, but we get a quick layup for Daniel Kubianic. It does draw the foul, I believe, on Toivonen. That's going to be a very excellent matchup between those two. We'll see if DQ gets to tie it up, but he's not going to do that time.
Well, I was about to say, we all remember the All-Star game where he airballed his free throw, so might be good. It might be a good idea to foul that polar bear sometimes.
Yeah, being with his big mini paws, it can be difficult to be able to be accurate on the free throw line. As Baltov does take the lead for the Voyagers as they're up by 1 with that basket.
Yeah, first lead so far, but plenty of time left for both teams to try and build a lead as Nur going to get the basket there for mid-range.
Nori Wada, they have really been kind of thriving ever since they got the starting point guard position for the Excavators. And right now we get a nice jumper for DQ, but it's not going to go down this time as Clark gets the rebound. This time Wada pass it to Cooper, and Cooper slams it home. And right now, if you're an Excavator fan, this is exactly what you want to see. Just them trying to do everything they can to attack the Winnipeg's defense to make sure that they stay honest. And we get a quick steal there from Toivonen. Bad pass there from Winnipeg as Cooper tries to go for a quick drive, going for the mid-ranger, but it's not going to go down this time as DQ does get the rebound.
And they got to be careful. They can attack the basket, but they can't force in. Heads-up play by Clark there prevents the alley-oop to Malka.
Yeah, both teams trying to speed things up, but a quick block there. I believe that was Francois with that block. So now Winnipeg has a chance to possibly tie this up with a 3 if they're able to get one. But instead they just did over to DQ, who is a much bigger size, but instead heading to the Carpenter. Carpenter going for 3, but it's not going to
Oh,
be good. And we got a quick dunk there from DQ. What a good way to clean things up for Winnipeg, as they're only down by 1.
and that was definitely one of the weakness spots, I feel like, in the playoffs last year, the finals especially. I mean, obviously they had the Dragon, but really Albany had the better size between with Kaz Watterson, and he would absolutely rain terror. And this offseason they went and picked up not one but 2 furs that could contest such players.
Yeah, 2 failed possessions so far, and he get a quick 2 there for the Excavators. So now they're up by 3 once again. Both teams are really just showing their strut here. And it shows why both of these teams are in the playoffs currently.
Yeah, both stepping up on defense and offense, but bad
Ooh.
matchup here is I think Cooper would
Yeah.
rather not have to play, but traveling.
Ooh.
Someone
Very mistake there by DQ.
that ref better be careful. You don't want to anger the polar bear.
Yeah, trust me, he's one of the last people you want to tick off in this kind of situation. But now Edmonton has a chance to extend the lead after that unforced turnover. As Cooper dishing over to Toivonen. That's going to be the matchup to really watch here, as Toivonen has to go for a tough mid-ranger, and he does get it over the polar bear.
Yeah, speed versus strength. Which one will come out on top? You have to imagine in terms of rebounding, DQ is going to have the advantage, but if Toivonen can play from the perimeter, he might find some open lanes at the basket.
Yeah, for sure, as we get Kobanov dishing over to Kubianic, and again, a huge size advantage, and that's going to be all day, every day for the polar bear, as DQ scoring 6 of the 13 points so far for the Voyagers, as they cut the deficit down to 3.
Yeah, and you see it's just good screens getting DQ those matchups.
Yeah, and Nerd not able to get that mid-ranger, as Baltov get a nice dish in there to get the quick score. And now the crowd's slowly starting to get into it. As right now the Voyagers need to get a good defensive stop here to possibly take this lead. And right now Cooper going for that 3, and it rattles home.
Yeah, he called for the screen by the Husky, and you saw the defense was right there, but he just used Xavier as a bit of a wall to get that look.
Yeah, really, they've been relying on those screens quite heavily so far in this game. And speaking of, we got a good alley-oop pass to DQ with that easy jumper, as DQ has been thriving into the paint so far to keep the team in it, as the Excavators does call for timeout, possibly trying to find some kind of answer against DQ.
Winnipeg, do be careful. Don't kill his knees, making him jump so much already in the first quarter. How much stamina does the Bear have come 48 minutes into the game is the question.
Yeah, that's always been the major concern when it comes to DQ. We all know of his injury history, but when he's fully healthy, he knows how to turn on, and we get a quick poke out of bounds from the Voyagers. So it will stay on this end of the floor. It will continue to be at the Excavators. And with only 16 seconds left on the shot clock, we do get to see majority of the second unit for both sides get to play as Lee. Gets the quick screen. Is matched up with DQ. That's probably not what you want to see in the paint, but he goes for a tough shot, and it's not going to go down.
Well, I'll give it to the rookie. The Dragon has balls to match up one-on-one against DQ at his size. No block there, but it at least got to the rim with the ball.
Yeah, for sure. And now Lynn trying to get for a quick drive, but it had to go for a tough 3 here, as I trying to go for a quick shot, but it's not going to go down. But DQ does get the cleanup and lays it in. And now we're all tied up 19 apiece between these two teams.
Yeah, and you saw there was the offensive rebound. Like I said, boxing out DQ has to be a priority for... Ooh, a charge.
Ooh, and now we see DQ get to go sit out for the bench. And we'll see if Winnipeg can take advantage of the turnover. And as I say that, Cooper turns it over real quick. Should go for the quick layup, and it is good.
Well, Cooper generates the turnover, swiping the ball away from Caliber.
Yeah, so now Edmonton does get to keep the lead to be able to take advantage of those turnover situations. And now we get over to Todd, who signed to back it up, going for a mid-ranger, and it's not going to go down this time. So now, Kuki backing it up, trying to find some kind of lane, really struggling, and he's not going to get that basket down. As a good defense there by Lin, as he does get the rebound.
Ooh.
And we get a huge dunk there from Winnipeg as we tie it up 21 apiece.
Yeah, both teams' field goal percentage through the roof right now, but you have to imagine as the game goes on, we'll see that stat tick a little bit lower, below 50%.
Yeah, for sure. Is now Cooper getting defended pretty quiet, gets the screen, tries to lay it up, and it is good. Nice teardrop there from Cooper. Cooper really doing an excellent job as the primary scorer for the Excavators, and as you would expect, is being the highest paid player on the team.
I was about to say, with all that money he got this offseason, he better be the primary scorer. I mean, heck, they're
Yeah, for
getting
sure.
every
Now,
minute. They're milking every minute they can from him. They kept him out here so far. He's the only starter left on the floor.
yeah, and right now, Winnipeg still trying to match up with that as they do tie it up once again, 23 apiece. Now Cooper hands it over to Silver, and it gets intercepted there by Silver, and Silver got a wide open lane there for the quick dunk. Way too easy for there. A costing mistake there for the Excavator side.
Yeah, the Rabbit jumped on that passing lane, and I mean, not only did he catch it in stride like a wide receiver, I mean, I don't think anyone could have caught up to him at that point.
Yeah, 100% as Cooper hands it up to Kuki. Kuki trying to find a way to get into the lane, and it's in and out. The former biker not getting it done that time. As Ide going for the mid-range, and he misses it, but he gets his own rebound, and Ide gets blocked there, but who is able to get the third chance for Winnipeg to extend this lead up to 4?
And there's the second half of the offseason acquisitions for Winnipeg. Grabbing Todd Hu from Williamsburg, and a big block from him.
A huge block against Neron Peninsula, as now the Winnipeg is just really thriving here with their second unit, doing whatever they can on both sides, especially when it comes from Hu. And now trying to go for a pass over to Peninsula. So to push it back behind the line. Trying to find somebody open. It does find Lee. Gonna have to go for a tough mid-range, but gets blocked there by Todd Hu. Todd Hu is just really just owning the paint right now. And we got a quick pass to Lin, and Lin is able to go ahead and get the mid-ranger. And now Winnipeg is just running away with that at this point.
Yeah, don't be surprised if we see a timeout from Edmonton soon. But yeah, Todd, coming into his 11th year in the league, has a very long career, but his minutes have waned as he's gone on. He's not really able to be on the court for 20, 30 minutes a night anymore. So if he can be productive, even in these like 5 to 10 minutes he's on the floor, he can have a huge impact, as we've seen so far, on defense.
Yeah, and Kuki with his first personal of the game, as Winnipeg, it does stay on Winnipeg's side, and we get a huge interception for Jones Jr. Jones trying to drive up, and he does get the finger roll, and it goes down, and Edmonton cutting down the lead a little bit with that turnover.
And you have to imagine we see Yaguri on the floor now. A second-year player was traded to Winnipeg mid-season last year, and I don't want to say accidentally found himself on a championship roster, but certainly benefited, I feel like, from that trade.
Yeah, for sure. Any way of getting a ring is a great thing to have for your career. As right now, Edmonton does have the final possession for the game. We'll see if Duncan Kuki tries to do something with it, and he does with that quick finger roll, and they do cut the deficit down to 2, and that's how we'll end the first quarter, as the Excavators are only down 29-27.
Now, speaking of ring, I mean, I know you and Bobby definitely fought hard in Alaska trying to bring home a ring, but unfortunately neither were able to in your career.
Yeah, I mean, it really goes to show, especially when it comes to my big bro Bobby. I definitely think he deserves a ring at some point, and he has an opportunity to do it here with the Excavators, but it's going to be a long, long road, especially if they continue the way that they're going to. We get a quick foul there on Todd Who, so we will see the Excavators are possibly tie this game up. And like I said, I have no idea what coaching experience is like, but
I was about to
you
say,
know,
as a player, uh, do you feel like having a player, a former player as a coach, is beneficial in terms of a garnering the respect uh, and as someone who has played the game now telling you how to better your game, or do you feel like having someone who's a little bit outside of that, more of a uh, I don't want to say a playbook wizard, but someone more attuned with the stats compared to the personality?
yeah, it's honestly an interesting question because um it's kind of depends on the situation, really. Now, of course, like when it comes to former players, being a part of that game for so long, having that kind of knowledge and experience in the game can really be very helpful because you have to understand the player's mindset. But you know, usually a lot of players to coach, especially transitioning from this to this kind of level here in the FBA, it it can be more simplistic when it comes to the type of play calls you get to hear, and it could be easy to counter. But Edmonton's doing pretty well so far as they are up by one, and as I say that, of course they get to lead up to three.
And they pulled back quickly after they've made some adjustments in the second quarter. But at the same time, I feel like a younger team might benefit from having a uh, player coach versus maybe a veteran. Depending on the personality, may butt heads with someone like that.
Yeah, 100%. It just depends on what type of team you're trying to build, and of course Edmonton's done a pretty okay job so far. I'm sure they wanted a little bit more for this season considering the acquisitions, but we get a quick block there as Jones Jr. does get to lay it up and in, so it is good on that end. And right now, Winnipeg, even though they are down, they still have a lot of opportunities to stay in it and probably run away with this thing. They just got to continue building that momentum. And oh, that's not really gonna be the case right there. We get another block there for the Excavators. So now Cooper getting a quick pass over to Duncan. Another pass to Cooper. Cooper got a wide open lane, but is not able to finish it out this time.
Yeah, and I mean the thing with Winnipeg, you have to consider. I mean, Eves has definitely starting to lose a step or two as he's been in the league for so long. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
with his, I think, wife now retiring, you have to question how many more years he has in it. But
Yeah,
still a three-point shooter that can bring the team back at any point. And then you have Francois Marnu, another three-point specialist that can turn a game around even if they're down multiple possessions.
yep. And just like that, uh, right now Winnipeg is still being able to do very well so far, especially with that last basket. Using their size to their advantage, we do see majority of the starting lineup get to come back for both teams. As Martinu has the rock, pass it over to Carpenter. Carpenter going to Malka, and Kevin's laying it up and in. Long time Voyager.
Well, I mean, between him and Eves, I think both of them might be career Voyagers at this point. They'll probably both retire in the pinstripes.
Yeah, 100%. Both of those players have done a very good job of really, they've been through the ups and the downs when it comes to the Voyagers. As Baltov tries to lay it up, but it's not going to be good there as Lee gets the rebound.
And
And
I'm just,
so I'm pretty sure they're like thriving at the peak.
yeah, I mean, they've definitely. I feel like both of their careers still have a number of good years left in them. It's just a question of, the team that they can build around that pair, and they've done a pretty good job here. And I mean, obviously they won a ring last year. Trying to go for two, though, before the hang up the jerseys.
Yeah, for sure. And we're seeing plenty of lead changes between these two teams, a total of 7. And this might be the 8th one here as we get a nice little lay-in there for the Excavators.
The three-point game has really calmed down in this, after the first little rally that we saw. Mostly just been attacking the basket and some mid-range plays.
Yeah, for sure. Is now DQ once again getting matched up with Toivonen, and Toivonen's going to win that battle this time as he does get the rebound. And now Iwata.
I feel like at some point they're going to have to start double teaming DQ in the post with Xavier and Toivonen. I feel like he's been too much of an impact already tonight to let him continue for the last 3 quarters.
Yeah, DQ has kind of really been the star for Winnipeg for a majority of the game so far. As he is someone that's moving away from Seattle, has been the second option for a good percent of his career there, as Winnipeg does cut the deficit down 2-1 with that basket. So it's interesting to finally see a team really give him a lot of focus offensively.
I mean, yeah, it seemed like he was going to be the star there, and then suddenly Jake Turner gets drafted. And by the time he's leaving, they're bringing in Leon. And, getting,
Ooh.
I think, good play there. A little fancy, but makes it work.
Yeah, nice alley-oop layup there for Winnipeg to take the lead, and the crowd is now really getting into this. And so far, Iwata hands it over to Lee. Lee gets the nice screen for Toivonen, but not the matchup you really want to see Lee go up against, as DQ gets the quick block. Yeah, that's not something you really want to see a player get swapped to DQ, especially with that size difference.
Yeah, and see,
as Malka not able to get it down.
I like, again, I'm going to rave and rant about Winnipeg's offseason. I feel like they have even put themselves in a great position. If they need the tall furs on the floor, they can always just slide Malka to small forward and bring Hu on the floor and have Hu play power forward alongside DQ and absolutely shut down the paint if need be.
Yeah, and even with that, the Edmonton has been able to find some open lanes in the paint, trying to find any kind of, even the smallest opening can really do a huge difference there, especially with the amount of size that Winnipeg has given off. And right now, Winnipeg trying to do the same thing on the other side, but it's not going to go down this time as Clark does get the rebound.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, Winnipeg has gone for size. Edmonton has speed. I mean, Xavier Clark and Eric Toivonen, both centers, but they could beat me in a full court sprint quite easily. So they have the ability to run up and down the court all day. Where Todd and DQ, they start getting winded after a few sprints, and that's how a team can overcome that kind of size differences. Turn up the pace, make their centers run, make them burn out their stamina before that fourth quarter even gets here.
Yeah, the X-Raid is trying to rely on that athleticism, but that's not going to go work for this possession. As now Winnipeg has a chance to probably cut the deficit down to just 1, and they do just that with that basket. So now Winnipeg and Edmonton really have been neck and neck throughout this entire game. This is exactly what you want to see in this playoff atmosphere.
Oh, no doubt. Like I said, neither team really blanking here. Oh, good cleanup by Clark. The Husky.
Excellent cleanup by Clark there. Really taking advantage of that opportunity for the second chance points. Really got Winnipeg snoozing for that possession. And speaking of sleeping, Martin was able to sneak on by to get that easy lay-in for the 2-pointers.
And not just that, coming from Malka dishing it. You talk about playing together a long time. These players have definitely built a good bit of chemistry because of that.
Yeah, 100%. And we'll see if the X-Raiders try to answer that. And they do just that with that basket.
Yeah, scoring has not been a problem for either team unless it involves a bear standing over you, in which case then scoring does become a problem. But both teams getting blocks now as Toivonen pulls another one in.
Yeah, that's really something to continue watching. We get a nice screen there as Toivonen still working his magic in the paint, taking advantage of that screen.
Oh,
And now
Martin
Lee
knew.
gets blocked himself. Like it's becoming like a block party. It seems like for between both of these teams.
Well, make sure you bring the hot dogs to the block party.
Oh, trust me, I got plenty.
Ooh,
And right now we get a foul there on Buckley. That'll be his first personal. And that's another thing you gotta also pay attention to is that neither team has really been dealing with fouls in this game. Some very good discipline on both sides.
except for the turnovers. I mean, we saw the traveling earlier and then a charge foul called against Kuki. But other than that, you're right. Very clean.
Yeah, I mean we're not expecting like the perfect game. I mean, I think we all don't want to have to deal with fouls during a game, but it is what it is. But Edmonton does extend the lead up to 3 with that quick mid ranger.
Is it even a lead,
You know,
though, with how the game has been back and forth?
no, not really. Like both teams really have showed their struts. Nope, like both of them have been on it, and we got a nice block there from Xavier. Once again, doing what he can in the paint, and so now Edmonton could extend the lead even more so. Right now, Cooper has it over to Nur. Nur has a lane open, tries to go for the mid range, but it's not going to go down this time for them.
Yeah, Nur, again, trying to find, I guess, their place in the roster, even to an extent. You know, they have a lot of perimeter help with Baxter and Cooper. But, where does Nur fit into that kind of offense?
Yeah, for sure. And they're going to have to try to clean things up on defense because even the second time where Martinu was just able to squeak on by for the easy lay-in with a quick dish. As they do cut the deficit and almost a turnover there, but Clark was able to pick it up. Clark is looking for a quick hook shot, and it does go down.
Yeah, kind of hard to stop him when he's able to get the hook that close. And as you see, 8 points so far for the Husky, along with some nice defensive stats.
Yeah, 4 for 5, really being very efficient with the basket. And we get another miss there for Winnipeg. So now Edmonton has a chance to possibly bring it up to 5. But we'll see if Winnipeg can try and stop this here. Quick double team. Going over to Clark. Clark with another mid range, and it is good. So now he is 5 for 6 so far in the game. Now hitting that double digits with that basket. And right now, Lynn hands it over to Martinu. Martinu going for a long 2, but it's not going to go down as Cooper gets the rebound. So Edmonton will have the final possession. We'll see if they extend the lead here. To pass it up to Buckley. Pass it back over to Cooper. Cooper going for a tough shot, and it goes down.
Now, they won't
What a
be the one with
shot
the
there from
final
Cooper.
shot.
Yeah, and now Winnipeg trying to see if they can try and clean things up a little bit, and they do so with that basket. So at the end of the first half, the Excavators really making some noise on the road as they're up by 5, 56-51.
Yeah, and it hasn't even been a one-man show here tonight. Obviously, it started off with Baxter and Cooper, but we saw Xavier in this last little bit of the second quarter really step up and, up to 10 points already. And like I said, both sides, even though the defense has had their moments, it just feels like both teams have been scoring pretty much at will.
Yeah, that really just seems to be the case as both teams are over 50% field goal percentage.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. They're over 50%, but one team has 7 blocks. So basically, the majority of their misses have been, oh, you got blocked. Sorry, kid.
Yeah, I mean, it just really kind of goes to show how well both teams' bigs have been so far. When it comes to how things have been playing out, especially for the Voyager side, because I'm sure majority of those blocks was from DQ and Todd, who respectively.
Yeah, well, Mardu came in and brought in 2 of his own. He's had a bit of an impact all over the court. And like I said, DQ already almost a double-double here with 8 rebounds. Certainly on track to get a double-double. And, just efficient shooting all around for both teams. And we see they really haven't gone to the 3 all that often. There's been a couple times as the shot clock has wound down, or they've drawn up a play from a screen, but both the Winnipeg as a whole, I mean, maybe their bench is letting them down just a little bit, as you see with Acosta and Ide struggling 3 for 10 between the two of them.
Yeah, and going over to the excavator side of things, I mean, we already knew that Cooper was going to get his 7 for 11 so far, really being excellent. But again, Xavier Clark, being extremely efficient, as well as Buckley, even though he hasn't scored as much within this game so far.
Well, not just that, but Clark had a stat in every category: steal, block, rebound, assist. Doing a bit of everything tonight, Husky.
Yeah, that's something you really want to see, as he was the first overall pick. As we go ahead and get things started in the second half, as the Excavators does have the rock in the third quarter, as Clark hands it over to Nur. Nur gets the screen and goes right by DQ. I don't know what
Ooh.
he was doing for that possession, as Nur does lay it in, as they are able to extend the lead up to 7 once again. Yeah, right now DQ just making sure to let him know that, hey, I'm still awake, with that quick drive into the basket.
So, fun fact, you're talking about being the number one overall pick. Edmonton has arguably one of the highest overall drafted starting lineups starting this year. As we see a good play there. Just real quick, rattle them off. Toivonen and Toivonen and Clark, both number one overall picks. Xavier, Zachary Cooper, a number two overall pick. Nurawada, a third overall pick. Baxter Buckley, a 13th
Whew.
overall pick.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy with the starting lineup, with only one of the players really um just are the only player being outside of the lottery position. And it really kind of goes to show how Edmonton is really relying on that youth for this season.
And on the flip side, the Winnipeg Voyagers, besides DQ, who they picked up in the offseason, not anyone super high in the draft. He was a second overall pick, but Malka, who they drafted 24th overall. Eves, an undrafted player. Francois Marnu was picked up by Texas as the 7th overall pick. And then Baltave, who they drafted, was the 20th overall pick. So the players that Winnipeg collects tends to be a lower draft order, but yet have been able to extract a lot of talent, or at least identify some diamonds in the rough.
Yep, and Eric Toivonen gets called for that foul, so DQ will go on the line for 2. And I think this also goes to show when it comes to the draft is you can get a great player from anywhere, any position. Doesn't matter if it's the first overall or Mr. Irrelevant or not even drafted whatsoever. If you're able to get the right pieces for the team that you're trying to build, it goes a long way. And both of these teams and how they're able to build to get to this point of where they're at goes to show that.
Like I said, no doubt. I mean, it's a testament to all levels of the game that even the undrafted players can make a major career of themselves if A, they work towards it, and B, they have the talent and the support. As we see a 3 finally coming back out from Edmonton, and oh,
Yep.
Malka.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Kevin Malka with the force with that one.
I mean, the only good news is these hoops have been certified DQ safe, so Malka can go out all he wants.
Yeah, he can go all in, as Nerd trying to go for a 3 again, and it goes down. And Nerd's starting to wake up a little bit here in the second half.
I mean, that definitely could be an area where they expand their skill set. Becoming the third three-point shooter on this team would really bamboozle defenses. You have to stretch yourself so thin to try and stop the perimeter game, and that just leaves it even wide open for Toivonen and Clark in the post.
And we get a quick jump there, and it is going to be good for Winnipeg, as they do have the couple steps down to 8. And right now, Edmonton doing whatever they can to possibly extend this to a double-digit lead. Get a dish over to Xavier. Xavier lays it up, and it's good. So yeah, right now the Excavators are just really kind of making a statement so far. in this game. So even if the Voyagers do come back from this, which I do expect for them to do, you got to give a lot of credit to the Excavators for be able to go toe to toe with this team on the road.
No doubt. I mean, we saw Winnipeg's grit last year, and with the bulk of the lineup still here, I have to imagine it's gonna continue as DQ creeping up towards that 20-point game so early in this third quarter. But you're right, Edmonton has really put on a show here tonight so far, and again, both these teams are playoff bound, and it's
Ooh.
showing here. And a great long distance too there, and Nur breaking 20 before DQ.
Yeah, and now we get a quick timeout for the Voyagers. Probably going to have to answer to what Nur has been cooking so far in the beginning of this quarter.
I think they went into the locker room at half and were a little too focused on stopping the Beaver, and then they forgot about the little Sea Bunny at point guard, and they're making them pay for that mistake there.
Oh, 100%. And with Nur having a little bit of a quiet first half, they're just exploded so far in the second half as we do see some of the second unit come out for both teams. The Costa goes for the mid range, but it's not going to be good. But of course, Nur is staying on as the hot pause so far as Kuki gets blocked there, and now
Not just
Caliber
blocked, but
gets
blocked
the
from behind. I want to say embarrassing, but getting chased down is never a fun experience. It's one thing when you see your opponent, but when you get smacked from behind like that.
yeah. It's never a really good thing when you think, okay, I got an open lane, easy layup for sure, and then out of nowhere, some dude just like comes out of nowhere and just swipes it.
Suddenly the ball's like ricocheting off the backboard with a thud, and you're just like, what the hell, man?
It's just a lot of disappointment as Nerd trying to do something in the paint, but gets blocked there by who? As Todd really showing his stuff of showing what he could do. And right now, Todd it got a nice size advantage, going right by his defender as he leaves it up and in with ease. And this is kind of something that we've seen so far, but when it comes to Winnipeg, if the starting lineup starting to slow down a little bit, the second unit's willing to go ahead and pick it right back up and put this team back into a position to possibly take the lead.
No doubt. I mean, as soon as their starting lineup started to struggle, it seemed like they made the plan. Okay, we'll get our engine firing with our spark plugs coming off the bench, and missed opportunity there from Lee as the shot clock went down. Almost airballed it, but just clipped the rim.
Yeah, right now Eve going over for trying to get a tough basket against Kuki, but Duncan doing a good job with that defense. Now Kuki hands it over to Lee. Lee signed to back it up a bit. Right now, a lot of passing here is Buckley. Possibly looking for someone in the paint. It does go into Neron. Neron's not able to get it down, though, against who? And that's probably a matchup that you're going to have to look at as the Excavators have not been able to score the past 2.5 minutes, and now Winnipeg is actually starting to catch up a little bit.
Yeah, you feel like maybe a timeout may need to come in the game soon. Edmonton, their engines have stalled. They're not in a tailspin yet, but they need to figure something out here.
Yeah, right now, they're hoping to get some answer for Lee as he is trying to get by his defender, going for the mid-range, and it does rattle home. So we finally get the first basket for the Excavators in the last 3 minutes, and even with that, the both teams are still close to 60% field goal percentage, which is pretty much unheard of here in the FBA.
I mean, some good nights definitely come into play, and both teams are definitely feeling it. I think the joy of being that rattled three.
Ooh.
I was gonna say that
just like that, we cut the deficit down to 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say the adrenaline of getting the knowledge that you're in the playoffs might be helping spur them on a little bit, but Winnipeg here has a chance to tie it up.
Yeah, they could if they get an old school 3-point play, but it's not going to go down this time. They didn't call it, but they do cut the deficit down 2-1. And now, if you're the Excavators, you're going to have to be very careful because now the crowd is back into it. They're clearly, thriving here as we get a quick 3 there. It's not going to be good, but Neron cleans it up. But yeah, the Excavators need to go ahead and try and slow down a little bit, and we get a unforced turnover there on the Voyager, so it will be Excavators ball this time as we get to see a big change up for the Excavators. And we'll see the same thing here for Winnipeg.
Yeah, it's been the unforced turnovers by Winnipeg that have kept Edmonton, with a bit, I don't want to say an easy lead, but they've been able to build one because of it.
Yeah, for sure. And now Silver trying to lay it up, and it is going to be good. So the Voyagers really trying to stick with it, but I believe they haven't really gotten the leads since the early goings of the second quarter. So they have an opportunity to try to take it here if they get a quick miss there, which does happen there on Buckley's end, as Lynn does get the rebound. Lynn hands it over to Todd, with gets the easy dunk. And just like that, as soon as I said it, Winnipeg has now taken the lead up by one, 77-76, with just 3 minutes left of this quarter.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they've been able to claw, you made the comment earlier that you fully expected them to be able to come back from a 10-point deficit, and that they have already in this quarter alone. It's been off of a scoring drought. Who? Absolutely attacking the rim, and again, fast plays from Winnipeg. I talked about Edmonton needing a fast tempo, but it's Winnipeg that's succeeding at that.
Yeah, you got to thank Todd Hood for that. Todd has really been a superstar coming off the bench. Already 10 points, and the amount of blocks that he has is pretty insane. As Lee tries to lay it up, and it's not going to be good. And now we see Winnipeg have a possibility to extend this lead up. And now,
say Todd is showing the benefits of having, maybe a player that you can't rely on 20 minutes of the game, but is able to come on the floor for 10 to 15 minutes and can give it their all and have impact.
oh, we get a nice steal there from Caliber. Caliber looking to try and take advantage of this, but it's not going to go down as Niran does get the rebound. Lee went right by Todd, and he goes for the quick finger roll. And that does quiet down the crowd a little bit. Lee relying on his speed.
Yeah, I mean, that was the only reason he had the opportunity there. And ooh, unforced error again. Stepped out of bounds there. Lost track.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to go a little bit too fast here on the Voyage's end. So they may have to slow it down just a little bit so those mistakes won't happen again. Because this game is way too close for it as Cookie tries to lay it up, and it's not going to go down this time as Malka gets the rebound. And right now, Silver trying to get by his defender. Instead hands it over to Lynn. Lynn having to pull it back. Dishes over to Baltov. Baltov lays it up, and it's good.
Yeah, comparatively quiet compared to Awada, but again, it's been the consistency. 5 for 10, shooting well here tonight, and that's really all they need. Just limiting turnovers and getting the ball where it needs to be.
Yeah, right now we get another miss there by Kuki as Kuki's struggling so far offensively, but we get a nice steal there from Cooper, intercepting that pass. Buckley hands it up to Lee. Lee going over for the tough shot, and it's not going to go down. Nice defense there from Silver.
Yeah, and I feel like we're seeing a bit of the rookie forcing it here. Lee, the lottery pick for Edmonton this last offseason draft, and kind of that bad situation of he's trying to find his place on the roster, and I feel like is forcing it a little bit too much here tonight.
Yeah, right now Jones getting a screen over to Lee. Lee gets blocked very easily. I'm not quite sure that was the best option there. As you say, he is forcing it a little bit here, and now Winnipeg has a chance to extend this lead up to 5 once again. The Silver has the ISO play. Looking to try to get by his defender, going for that quick long shot, but it's not going to be good.
Yeah, and minor correction, the Blue Dragon was actually the 10th pick by Edmonton, not a lottery pick, but still.
A top 10 pick, nonetheless.
Nonetheless.
But at the end of 3, Winnipeg is now up by 3, 81-78. And for the Excavators, they had that cushion, but now they are falling behind on the closing quarter. What do you expect for them to do to try to adjust and perhaps possibly try and steal one on the road?
I mean, it's tough. We saw them build up a 10-point lead, so we know they're capable building a good lead here tonight. But Edmonton not able to hold it. Winnipeg coming back in the same quarter. It wasn't even like they came in up by 10 to start the quarter. So you have to imagine they're going to maybe go back to Nur, who was so key to getting that lead early on. But I think Cooper also needs to step up. He was quiet after the first half. We didn't really see much of him in that third quarter. Maybe it was because they were saving him here for the fourth.
Yeah, you have to expect Cooper trying to turn things up, but of course they got to get a defensive stop, and they are able to do that, and they do get the rebound. Good effort there by Baltev, but as I said, scoring drought again. About 2.5 minutes since they last scored, and it's gonna continue here as they get that miss. Kevin Malka dishes over to Ide, and Ide with a wide open three, and it goes down.
Yeah, Edmonton a bit of a middle of a desert right now. That's two big scoring droughts they've had. They really need the rainy season to start falling on them. They need to start hitting their shots, and because they have not been able to completely stop Winnipeg here tonight, and that they can't afford to let them build up a lead.
Yeah, and they are gonna do that with the nice size advantage there for Toivonen. So they do cut this episode down 2-4, but they do need to get a stop here if they want to continue getting that opportunity to possibly tie this game up or even get the lead. And we get some good defense there again by Toivonen. Get the quick rebound as Cooper has the rock. Went right by his defender, and he gets to dunk it down with the easy two.
Yeah, took that from end to end there, leading to a dunk. And if they can get a stop here, Edmonton can find themselves back in the lead or tied the game up once again.
Yeah, and of course, it just all depends on this possession. And that's not going to be the case as we get a nice Greek drive there from Baltov with a good screen from, I believe that was Malka with that screen.
Yeah, running into him is not fun. The armadillo.
Oh no, not at all. Those thorns just
Yeah,
not
the
good. But
pangolin
they
is
do get
not
enough.
something you want to body slam into, even if it's the chest.
Yeah, but Edmonton does get the deficit down to 1 with this with that three. And now we get some quick, easy moves there. And right now, again, excavators calm down a little bit, around 50%, while the Voyagers, excuse me, has an opportunity to get it to 60, but really good defensive stop there, trying to stop the alley-oop layup. But Malka tried to clean it up, and it's not going to be good.
Yeah, Toivonen another block once again, getting it done on defense.
So now here comes Cooper. Cooper hands it over to Lee. Lee wide open for three, and it rattles down, and we're tied up 88 apiece, and the timeout has to go to the Voyagers.
It's my favorite score on the scoreboard when every little bit of the numbers are illuminated.
Yep. 9 minutes, 88 apiece. This has really been a very fun game for both of these teams.
Yeah, and it's not. You might as well say the game has started over with it tied here.
Yeah, 100%. And I can imagine that both of these teams, I think just one small run could really be the deciding factor for this game, as both teams are not letting it out by 1 second.
No, they aren't. And Balte from free throw land is good. Double screen to get him open.
Yeah, that's something that you probably expect. Like, both teams really doing very good, just trying to open up their playbook. It seems like they're just going deep in there, trying to find any kind of offensive advantage that they can get. As Cooper tries to go for a finger roll, and it's not going to go down this time. So now Kevin get a nice dish to Baltov, and Baltov is able to get the nice finger roll and extend the lead up to 4. Yeah, right now, Nur pass over to Cooper. Cooper wide open for 3, and it's not going to go down. Honestly, I probably would have preferred him trying to go for drive into the lane for the quick 2 in that possession. As now, we got a nice block there, and it does still end up being Voyager's ball, but great defensive effort there for the Excavators.
Yeah, Clark getting a good paw on that, sent it into the back of his own teammate, I think, and it bounced out of bounds. Missed opportunity to maybe steal that possession away, but at least rob them of half the game clock, shot clock for that possession.
Yeah, 100% is now Eve. Got a wide open Martin for three, and it goes down. And now they are up by 7, possibly have a chance to break it to a double-digit lead here if they get a stop. And now the crowd is screaming defense, and Edmonton has to do something offensively to try and calm this crowd down.
And the team, honestly. I mean, both of them. And getting into Toivonen on a good matchup is one way to do that, but still down by 5 here.
Yeah, down by 5. They need to go ahead and try and do everything they can to try and get the momentum back on their side, as Balta got an open lane just a small second, and he will take advantage of that. Being able to break the defense down as he was able to fight his way into the paint and extend this lead back up to 7. We'll see how Cooper responds.
Ooh.
And he does get fouled there, and that's going to be a charging foul against Cooper.
Yeah. I was about to say, like, oh, good chance drawn to the line, but no, I think Winnipeg may have sold it a little bit there with the slide on the ground, but the Beaver getting called for, and Marnu maybe stealing away a possession there with his acting.
Yeah, that was really, really costly turnover there for the Excavators. So now Winnipeg has an opportunity to extend this lead again and continue digging this hole deeper. But Baltov, it's blocked there. Baltov trying to go again. It gets blocked again by Clark. What a great defensive effort there for Clark. And we'll see how Edmonton responds with that great effort there for the Wolf.
The Husky.
As Buckley, oh yeah, Husky, my bad. We get a nice 3 there for Buckley, and Buckley is able to drain it home. And now they cut the deficit down to 4. And that's something you want to see. Try to quiet the crowd down with that offensive stop, and just Clark doing everything he can to get the defensive stops that he needs.
I mean, to be fair, 7-2 Husky does kind of look like a dire wolf almost.
Yeah, but sure, we get a quick tip over there on Toivonen, but DQ was able to collect it and lay it up and in. So DQ finally getting past the 20-point mark. He has been awfully quiet, but then again, this is his first time coming off the bench for a while.
Yeah, they definitely worked him hard in the first quarter, and he had to take a little while to get his legs back, but great time to bring him in.
Great time indeed, as he once again is being a menace in the paint, as Carboneau is able to lay it up and in. Great offensive effort, as they are the first team to break the century mark, as they're up by 8, 101-93. And now, you're going to see Buckley goes into the switch, goes by his defender, and he does get to lay it in as he gets past the Polar Bear.
Close game, and I mean, Winnipeg now needs to hold on to it, even with these last few minutes ticking away. 6 points is not enough to call it game yet.
Yeah, for sure. We get a nice rebound there for Clark. Good defense there for the Excavators. Now Buckley going for the long 2, and it hits the side of the rim.
Oof. Got to come away with those possessions, and rushing them does not help.
Yeah, we still got plenty of time left in the game. If you're not that far behind, that's not something you really want to do. As right now, DQ trying to bully his way into the paint, and he does go ahead and get the basket against Toivonen. And now they're up by 8 once again. So now we get the quick screen there. Heads it over to Cooper. Cooper heads it up to Clark. Clark got a nice matchup as he does get the mid-ranger, making it look way too easy.
Yeah, they're avoiding matching up against DQ, which is great, and I think they're keeping an eye out. He knows he can't switch. If he switches, he's just going to leave someone open. And, you know, the guy he's guarding is usually a three-point shooter, so they don't want to risk giving up a 3 at this point in the game.
Yeah, for sure. Right now, Carboneau trying to go for the long 2, but it's no good. But DQ is able to get the rebound, but he loses the ball as he gets up. Great defense there by Clark, and now Nurk trying to rush his way into it, but he gets blocked there as Carboneau is able to pick it up.
Yeah, another block, though. It's a block fest. It's not even a block party. It's a whole block city right now.
Yeah, this is going to be a really Huge opportunity here for Edmonton to probably cut the deficit, and they are not able to get it down as Malka does get the board. And so far, Carpenter was able to dunk it down.
Yeah, if you're
So now,
Edmonton, you may want to call timeout here. I feel like the momentum is not in your favor at the moment. You got to make a change.
and it looks like they're still going to continue to play on after this possession as Nur trying to find a way to get into the paint, but is once again matched up to DQ and ends up losing the ball, but he does, but they do get it back, hands it up to Cooper. Cooper gets a quick screen, hands it to Clark. Buckley going for a tough three, and it hits the side of the rim. Really good defense there once again by the Voyagers, not only getting the quick stop, but also draining the clock on that possession.
No doubt. There was just so much disruption. They almost stripped the ball away, and by the time Nur recovered it, the whole
Oh
plan
no.
was thrown off.
Yeah, right now we have an easy opportunity for DQ going up against Cooper right there. And now they're up by 10. And Winnipeg, as I said, when it comes to whoever gets that run going, they could be the one taking it. They're up by 10 with less than 2 minutes left of the game. And Clark trying to do as much as he can to keep Edmonton in it, but they are down by 8.
Turnovers at this point, they can't let them keep shooting. That's the only way they're going to stop them. And of course, as I say that, one opportunity. Yes, it's against DQ, so there's a decent chance it's not going to work out, and we're actually going to see a substitution.
Yeah, Baltev stepping out for this one. I think they're going to be very defensive heavy as DQ does get the miss, as Eric Toivonen does get the rebound. So you got to imagine that Nur, Cooper, and Buckley are going to be the ones who relied upon to try and cut the deficit very quickly, as they are down by double digits with less than a minute and a half left to play in this game. And right now, we get a quick layup, and it is good there from
Not
Buckley.
enough.
But it's not going to be enough. As you said, they need to get a stop here, though, in order to have a chance. They're only down by 8, so they are down by 3 possessions, so a stop has to happen if they want to have a chance to win.
Yeah, a stop, a three, and then they're back in it, but no, ease.
And
a three, that's the only thing. If they can hit a quick three, they're still in it. If not, I'm going to go ahead and call it. And Nur is going to at least nail that.
Never say never when it comes to the Excavators, as Nur is able to get that clutch 3, but again, they need to get a stop here. They have to get a stop.
Not just a stop, they need to steal the ball before the whole shot clock winds down, and now they got DQ in the best matchup possible.
Yeah, and that probably is going to be all she wrote, as the Excavators does call timeout here with 40 seconds left on the game clock, and being down by 9, you just got to go 3, foul, and hope for a miss. And if there's anybody you want to take the inbound, it has to be DQ.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point. You're going to have to you hit a 3, great, you're still down by 6. And that is such a hill to overcome. And with at minimum 3 possessions still in this game available, I think even Edmonton's realized it's over. They brought some of their bench players out.
Yeah. It's good. It's really tough to really kind of come up against, but we get a quick foul there. So Lynn's first personal, but
well, not just that,
Edmonton,
but do you want to have an injury in the final 30 seconds of a game when you're down by almost double digits, when you've already punched your playoff ticket?
Yeah, for sure. So with this being a Voyager victory, it puts them that much closer with the date with the Swashbucklers. How do you see that series fare out?
I mean, I'd have to give it to Winnipeg. I mean, you talk about Oregon. Oregon's kind of riding high off their rebrand, their move, their acquisitions. They pay Astrid Vickerson is obviously one of the candidates for Rookie of the Year. And obviously Marcus Knight is a veteran that can help lead the team to success. But compared to Winnipeg here, I feel like Winnipeg just has a better spot at every position except maybe that point guard slot. I would give that to Oregon.
Yeah, and DQ with the easy layup there. As this is pretty much a hard Vok victory, even though that they were able to finally break free in the late game. It was an excellent matchup there for the Voyagers, but I think the Excavators could definitely hold their head high for this one, as we almost see a block from Toivonen,
Become a
almost get
three.
into the match
Yeah.
net. That would have been ugly, but of course, that's how we're gonna end things off here as the Voyagers win 115 to 106.
Yeah, and as you saw, starters, Balte, uh, sorry, it was Malco that was really quiet on the starting lineup, but you see DQ, 31 points, 12 rebounds, 2 blocks. Didn't really get 2 block game. I feel like really when we switch over to Edmonton, uh, I want to see Clark's what he finally walked away with because I feel like the Husky at least picked up 5 blocks this game.
Yeah, I mean, you got to say that both front courts for both teams are really, really strong, and it really kind of shows that I think the biggest differentials between these two teams is simply the experience, and definitely in that kind of atmosphere on the road for the Excavators is going to be tough, really tough for anybody, and they did handle themselves well.
Yeah, and you see the point spread a bit more even across the Edmonton team. Nur definitely picked it up in that second half. Cooper a little bit quieter. I think he had like 16 points to go in. Yes, Clark did walk away with 5 total blocks in the end, a double double. Was halfway there to a triple double, but not enough blocks could be collected as Toivonen was collecting them as well. 3 for him.
Yeah, and Clark and Toivonen have been a very pretty good tandem for the forward five, but like I said, the experience between TQ and Malka, especially in this kind of atmosphere, es- even at home, it's going to be too much to overcome for just about anybody.
No doubt, and like I said, it's a tough place to play. It's a national rivalry. The two Canadian teams. Uh, Excavators trying to have an upswing. Edmonton uh, is looking up, I will say, but then Winnipeg, trying to hold on to that championship mentality that they have after winning and seeing if they can't repeat here.
Yeah, 100%. And like looking into the stats here, and really, it's pretty much pretty even Steven for the most part up until the final quarter. And I say one of the big keys here also is the Voyagers bench, especially Todd Hu doing what he has done and continuing that onslaught um as soon as DQ was able to get on the bench to get some rest.
No doubt. I mean, you see they're almost double the bench points coming in from the Voyagers, and almost half their points. I mean, sorry, a third of their points basically coming from the bench alone, which high production. Not only that, but doing it efficiently. And like you said, their experience was very good. I feel like they have a few more specialists that they can bring it off the bench to uh, be a spark plug. They were down by 10 in that third quarter, and but before the quarter ended, they managed to come back and claw away a lead. That's not something that every team can do necessarily, and make that kind of a switch.
Yeah, for sure. This is going to be definitely an experience for the excavators. It's not something to really kind of sulk over. Well, yes, this does have a lot of playoff implications for it. I think that this game could probably just about cinch it for, well, now I wouldn't say almost guarantee for the Voyagers to pretty much get the final to get that fifth seed to go against the Swashbucklers. But in Edmonton, if they continue to stand pat, they could possibly be able to get the sixth seed. It just all depends on how things go for the end of the season.
Yeah, everything's so tight at this point. I think 3 games left to go, and there's just 3 or 4 games, and with that many games to go, there's no telling one of these teams could go from fifth to eighth. That's just how tight the bottom five uh, teams are, and if it weren't for the fact Oregon gets the automatic fourth seed, you know, uh,
Hmm.
one of these teams would be a fourth seed probably.
So before we actually end things up, I'm very curious. Out of the top three teams in the Howlers, the Cards, and the Bikers, who do you really want to go up against out of those three?
That you would win against.
That you think you have the best shot at beating? Yes.
Oh, that's a tough one. So Montana's looking hot right now. But the question is, what are they going to look like in the playoffs? Because they're really coming in with Callum and Birdie. obviously have good chemistry together, but they are new additions to the team. They've worked well in the regular season, but how will that translate into the postseason? Dakota's scary because they literally brought back their championship starting lineup. So they've proven that they can win, but they haven't necessarily had that success since the championship. So maybe
Hmm.
them to an extent I would lean you feel safest against Dakota because LVG hasn't really looked weak this season compared to some of their uh, underdog performances last year. Whereas Dakota, they missed the playoffs last year due to injury concerns. They've managed to avoid it so far this year, but you have to imagine if the injuries start trickling in, Dakota may go down easier than those other two teams.
Yeah, I can understand that. It certainly is something to kind of put in put into consideration. I will say that I'm a little bit concerned for the cards myself, mainly because the fact that there's so many changes on the cards that happened over the season. Well, yes, it has worked for them in the regular season, but the playoffs are a whole different animal, and some of these guys have not really had that experience, if I recall correctly. I have to double check to make sure, but um, it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. Um, Again, the West is super super close. It's not even funny, and it's going to be interesting to see how these next couple of games really end out as we finally close the season off.
Oh, no doubt. And like I said, it's gonna be a race for this fifth seed, and I feel like that's gonna be the seed that we could have the best opportunity for an upset in this Western Conference. But thinking how close everything has been, even being a number one seed may not uh, be that much of a quote unquote advantage in terms of Vegas's odds for each team.
Certainly not.
Thanks again, Marcus, for having me here.
Hey, it's not a problem. It's always an enjoyment of seeing these two Canadian teams duke it out.
Yeah, and we will see all of you for the playoffs, as this was our last sports den of the regular season.